Hey Dave, how you going?
G'day, James, and hello, everyone, and welcome to this, what I believe is going to be a very interesting chat with a fellow called James Walker-Powell, who's a financial planner in Sydney from More for Life Financial Planning. And I've known James for over 50 years. I've seen his struggles. I've seen his triumphs. I'm lucky to call him not just a friend, but I'd say a mentor in many areas of life. So welcome, James.
Hey Dave, how you going, buddy?
I'm great.
Nice
Thank you, mate.
introduction, mate. I don't think I've had an introduction like that ever, but I'll take it.
Well, it's sincere and it's from the heart. You are a good friend, and I consider you a brother, and you are a mentor to me, because I have seen your struggles over 50 years, and I have seen you triumph in many areas of your life. And I think that is remarkably important, because I've known a lot of financial planners in my time. And as you know, I had a crack at it some 30 years ago or so and failed. And I know it's a tough industry, and I know a lot of guys fail, and girls, and probably most, I would say. And you've triumphed, and through adversity in all areas of your life. I mean, for all of us, I know that health is vital, and you've had some major health challenges. I know that relationships are essential, and you've got all loving and peaceful relationships in your life that I'm aware of. And, you've had your struggles in those areas as well. And I remember when you were living in, government housing, starting your business, looking after your dead sister's kids. That's a big call for a kid in their 20s, right? And for you to get where you are today is phenomenal. So look,
Yeah.
let's start with what's good about where you are now. What's good about More for Life Financial Planning?
Yeah, good question, Dave. Well, I'm 59. I'm a little older than you by a few months, Dave, but you'll be 59 also fairly shortly. And generally speaking, we tend to get clients 5 years, either 5 years older or 5 years younger. That's generally how financial planners work. So I'm getting to the stage where a lot of my clients are getting towards retirement after sort of like building their wealth up over the last 30, 35 years. And it's really quite gratifying to actually see them get to that stage where they are financially independent. And we've been talking about one day where they'll leave work and they'll pretty much basically do whatever they want. And this is where we are now. So that's a great place.
Well, they're amazing goals. I guess what comes to mind is that you've had your eye on these principles and you've practiced them for a long time, and you're a product of what you have learnt and what you practice and what you provide to people. So what would you say, to someone who hasn't had all that experience? Maybe they've built some wealth. Maybe they're concerned about keeping it and protecting it and even growing it. In our stage, we could be on the planet for another 3 or 4 decades if we're lucky. But if we haven't taken care of ourselves, it could be if we're unlucky. You know what I mean? So what would you say to someone who hasn't had that experience and education and practice that you have?
Well, the first thing I'd say is try and actually get a good relationship with a financial planner, similar to basically sort of like getting a good relationship with a GP as far as your health's concerned. So if you're serious about growing your wealth and keeping it and maintaining your wealth, you want to engage a professional. As I said, I went to the doctor yesterday, Dr. George Quitner, who's at Mossman, and he's basically sort of like been a family doctor for quite some time. And we talk about a range of different issues as far as health's concerned. And that's a similar type of service that I provide. But rather than like talking about health, we do talk about health, but we talk about your money, we talk about your business, your family, and what leisure pursuits that you want. So that's actually sort of like the tenets of the More for Life process that we developed in 2007.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. James, I'm going back to over 50 years ago and remembering the little brown boy with long curly hair and a surfboard under his arm who wandered the streets and the beaches where your magnificent home now is, on the beaches. And I know that that was a big dream of yours, and you've achieved it, and you've achieved a great lifestyle. So I'm just thinking about, of course, it would take a long time to give you that whole, for you to give us that whole story, but just the highlights about how did you get from young Tubbsy, as we used to call you, the little surfing boy, to a fella who, I think, with your own admission, struggled academically at school, but fantastic at sport, and you've gone on to have, as I said, tremendous struggles and overcome those struggles, and now, you know, I think you really practice what you preach and what you provide. So just tell us a little bit about your background of how you got from there, that young surfy fella, to where you are now.
Well, you mentioned academically. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of kids, like a lot of boys, you know, I couldn't sit still. And if there was a subject called daydreaming, I'm sure I would have actually topped the state on that. But I was fortunate that my parents basically did actually, both of them cherish academia, and I went to Australian College of Physical Education, which is pretty much the end road as far as basically getting in any tertiary institution. And then I did 3 years at Teachers College there, and then I went over to University of Western Australia, and just basically sort of like devoted a whole year to completing a sandwich course from a diploma into a degree. And in those days, the University of Western Australia was the epicenter of sport and physical education academia. And I got a job straight away as a teacher. And I remember after those 4 years, rocking up to Linwood Senior High School. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't like school at all. And when I'm back here as a teacher, so that didn't last too long. But I did actually, love the chase of a sale, you know, and an opportunity came up as far as getting into, in those days, it was the savings plan and life insurance industry. And I took that by the horns and just ran with it. And as time went by, there was a lot of knowledge that you picked up. I did a diploma of financial planning and recently finished a master's degree, which, you know, it's no big deal, but that's where I've got to as far as academia is concerned. And along the way, you know, grafted out a living.
Well, I think that's the type of thing that I'm referring to. And I don't want to get too personal because I do know pretty much all of your struggles, I think. And, that one academically, neither of us did very well at school. I think we were both quite similar in that we were dreamers and we didn't love it too much. But, for you to end up with a master's degree, several degrees, I think, and, there are some of them behind you. I also know that, there they are. I also know that if you have a goal, you just go for it like no one else I've ever seen, and you get the goal. You wanted the big house on the beach. You wanted a couple of black belts in different martial arts. You wanted to be in, I can't remember what it was, you'll have to tell me, New South Wales Masters Surfing Championships. You've done that recently. You're finalist there. You've got an incredible lifestyle. Like every time I phone you, you're either skiing here or surfing there. You never seen, this is one of the rarer occasions I've seen you in your office, which is fantastic because it's all about lifestyle. You're in great health. You've got wonderful relationships. You're obviously very materially prosperous. So what I'm thinking about is some of those struggles. Could you speak to what have been your greatest struggles and how have you overcome those?
Well, as you alluded to, Dave, my sister passed away at age 31, and she had 2 children to be looked after. I was in Perth when she was getting sick. Came back from Perth, had absolutely no money at all. I was in my mid-20s, and ultimately I looked after one of those kids for 6 years, and that was a bit of a struggle, yeah, for sure. But when you're talking about, I guess, producing goals, I mean, I've always, as I've alluded to a little while ago, I always had a great great way of actually visualizing things in my head, because I'm a bit of a daydreamer. So a good friend of my daughter's actually asked me the other day a similar type of question, and I said, look, what it is, it's all I can give you is the trade-off between visualization or visualization, I guess, yeah. Law of attraction, law of attraction, and going without to produce a goal that would be pushing you towards that goal through law of attraction, you probably need to sort of like look at the long term and give up certain things to achieve those goals. I guess basically I wasn't doing many surfing trips when I was looking after my niece. So that's it, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think this again is this idea of turning something that's not that beneficial to you and something that's not really encouraged, and perhaps, in this case, something that's really quite good. Both you and I were daydreamers. And for me, it seems like you've developed this incredible focus to take that very powerful imagination and vision and dream and to focus on exactly what you want and take positive, powerful action in the direction of your goals. And it is powerful to me because you get them every time. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think if we go back to how we were taught at school, it's like a straight line, but life generally doesn't work that way. It works in wiggly ways, and I guess basically it's all about sort of like trying to find the path that best suits you to get from A to B and achieve a goal. So just basically sort of like finding that path, and it does take a little bit of time to find a path that best suits you. So that's about it.
Well, look, I was really wondering if you had one really strong particular secret that you could share with people when they're considering their finances and their material prosperity and what it actually provides them. What would that secret be, do you think?
Well, certainly the law of attraction, that's a big thing. Engage a professional, like engaging a GP, but also understand that it does take time to save money. You need to go without initially to achieve a goal down the road, so whether or not it's actually not taking that holiday, but we all love holidays, or you might have to do a course to achieve a certain amount of recognition in your particular career. I think that's pretty much how it works.
Fair enough. I was just wondering, people make some mistakes, don't they, in terms of their finances, and they don't
Yeah,
have the wealth of knowledge and experience that you do. What would
yeah.
you say would be the top mistakes that most of us make regarding our finances?
Listening to a taxi driver.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I will make sure I don't listen to the Uber driver about, about finances. But what else would you say? What do most people do wrong, and how can they rectify it, do you think?
Well, I don't want to push the barrow, but I guess I'll take that analogy of trying self-diagnose yourself through Google if you've got a health issue, rather than going to see a doctor. Um, Similarly with financial planning, if you may basically be able to sort of like work your way through a problem, or alternatively achieve a goal as far as some type of financial stability, but you're never going to be as well off than if you engage a financial plan. And one of the big one of the big things that deters people doing that is that they don't want to pay a fee, But unfortunately, when you go and see the doctor, there's going to be a fee there, and there's also going to be a fee for a financial planner. So my advice is try and engage a financial planner.
Well, it seems rather naive that people would think that they're going to get a financial advice for free. We don't walk into the grocery store and think we're going to get free fruit and vegetables. It's like, so
Yeah, but
that
like,
seems.
yeah, but I know. That's how it works, doesn't it? I mean, you don't expect basically the plumber to come around, or you've got a friend who's a plumber that comes around for a cup of tea, and you ask him to actually sort of like have a look at the pipes whilst he's there, But that actually does happen with professionals. I know basically lawyers get asked questions at barbecues, and so do financial planners. So that's just how life works, I guess.
Well, I've heard someone recently say that if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. And it seems like our finances are something we really want to pay attention to. And if people don't, it's not an expense, right? It's an investment, and it's really an investment, in themselves and their lifestyle and their family, and protecting all of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, yeah. Anything that's worthwhile, you want to pay for it, don't you? In some way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, okay, with financial planning, there are so many rules and regulations that we need to actually abide by. It costs money to actually abide by those rules and regulations, and also costs a lot of money for different levies that the government actually asks us to pay. For instance, there's an ASIC levy that I pay ASIC up to $14,000 a year. There's professional indemnity, which I need to pay up to about $40,000 a year. And there's a new levy for what's called the scheme of last resort, which has just been brought in for those people who to fund advice that possibly hasn't been good for the client, and they haven't got any recourse. So they're asking financial planners who have had nothing to do with these type of disasters to kick the can, to bail people out for their stupid decisions.
Yes, yeah, understand. Look, I was wondering, there's a lot of financial advisors out there, and I have my opinion that makes you unique and special,
Yeah.
and different, and worth talking to for someone who's building wealth, someone who wants to protect their wealth and their family. And I would advise people to go and see you. But I'd like to know what your opinion is. why people should come and see you rather than someone else? What makes you different?
Well, if you're hammering long enough, you're going to be pretty good at what you do. And this is my 35th year in financial services. And I like to think that each year I actually get better at what I do. So if you were to sort of like nut it out, experience is a big issue. But other than that, we've got our own financial planning license here. I've got two of the best staff anybody could ever ask for. We run our own process, called the More for Life process around those 5 tenets. And also we've got our own MDA license, which allows us to trade on your behalf. So we can concentrate on what's important to you as opposed to give you streams of paperwork.
Right. Good points. And I agree with all those. The thought came to me, James, is that we've both been involved with Tony Robbins, who's the biggest life coach, I guess, in the world. I was dragged in there kicking and screaming in 1995 and got involved in that. And I remember a couple of things that he said to me that ring true. And that is, first thing is that success leaves clues, right? Success leaves clues. And I regard you as one of the most successful people that I know. And not just because you're very materially prosperous. I also heard someone say, I feel sorry for another person. And then someone said, why? He's so rich. And he said, yeah, I feel sorry for him because all he's got is money, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you have a lot more than money, James. You have a beautiful, as I've said, great health, loving relationships. You've achieved so much. You've got an incredible lifestyle. So you're a product of your product. And I think that's important. So he said, success leaves clues. And I see success written all over you. The other thing he said was, if you want to do something in life and you don't know how to do it, find someone who's done it and model them. So that's why I believe you're a guy that anyone who's building wealth, anyone who wants to protect their wealth and their family and their lifestyle should really pick up the phone and talk to you. What do you say about that?
Well, I can't argue with that, Dave.
Well, folks, some people listening to this might think, well, maybe it's a bit too good to be true. Here's this, excuse me, almost rags to riches story. So if people thought it was too good to be true, James, what would you say about that?
I don't know whether it's too good to be true.
Or is there any catch?
No, I don't think there's any catch. I think basically if someone, there is a catch. I'm not going to take on anybody as a financial planning client. But I guess if they're listening to this type of recording and they want to get in contact with us, if you mention the DK Martin or DK Byrne, at least basically I'll have an initial chat with you to start off with. How's that sound?
Well, that sounds great. And, of course, you do deal with certain types of clients these days. And so it's not just anyone comes along can have your services, of course, because, from my opinion, you're at the top end of the tree in terms of the people that you help. So I guess it's like anything. It's on a almost like an interview basis. But wherever anyone's watching this, around the text in this, you'll see James's contact details and how to get in touch. And, certainly James cares a lot. And if you care about your wealth, you want to build wealth, you want to protect it, I'm sure he's happy to at least have that initial conversation with you. Would you say that's fair, James?
Yeah, I'd also say that if you go onto our website, which is www.mlfs.com.au, you'll find that not only are we concentrating on your wealth, which is the money, we've also got another 4 tenets of the process that we look at. So that might be your family. So such things as wills, such things as insurance, getting things in order as far as your family is concerned, such things as helping kids out with buying a home, which is a big topic at the present stage. We also help people basically sort of like set goals as far as their health is concerned. We consult as far as small business, how we can actually help there, and also it's all about like having fun. So, for instance, I had some clients in yesterday who have been retired for a few years, and I said, "Well, are you going to go overseas?" And these guys have built up quite a significant amount of money in their superannuation. I said, "Look, you realise that you've got enough money to actually turn left at the aeroplane rather than turn right. So go and treat yourself." So they're the sort of things that we discuss each time a client comes in for their review.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, it's obviously, excuse me, not just about the dollars in the bank. It's about what those dollars can certainly do for you. So, anything else you'd like to add before we go? Sorry, cut you off.
I think it's a matter of happiness too, So I guess what we do at More for Life is, yeah, for sure, we look at the finances, but it's all about making the best person that you can be. And if you incorporate those 5 tenets, it's always a good start.
And would you say that that's something that's unusual for financial planners to be really looking at all of those areas of your life? Your
Yeah,
health.
look, I guess basically financial planning can be quite prescriptive, but I'm not quite sure how far that's going to take you, like anything that's prescriptive in life.
Yeah. And I mean, for example, this idea of the law of attraction, do you find that there's many financial planners who are really considering that? I mean, I guess a lot of people think that that's a kind of a woo-woo thing.
Yeah. Who are they?
Well, that's right. I guess you don't really mix with, when you have certain beliefs and certain tenets about life, then they're the type of people that you attract and that you work with. Would that be fair?
Well, we all like to sort of like deal with people that we like, and generally the people that we like are people who hold the same values as yourself. That's just natural. So, yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, look, I think we've just about come to the end of this, unless you've got anything else to add, James.
No, it's always great catching up with you, Dave. It's been fantastic.
Well, mate, you are an inspiration to me, and you're a fella who goes after what they want, they get it. If financial planning is a product, you're a heck of a product of that product, and there's plenty of life in the old dog yet. Excuse me, this cough. But really, I found out last night that you have another goal, and it's a rather remarkable goal. Folks might not know that James is running for Parliament, and which I think is it's admirable, because James, you do care. You do care about who runs this country, and you do care about how it affects people that you love and yourself and all of us. So I think that that's amazingly admirable that you've stepped up and you're running for Parliament, and I'm really enjoying and looking forward to seeing where that goes. So thank you so much, James. You are a champion, and it's been great talking to you today.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.